Ladies and gentlemen, every major military historical analyst out there agrees the last 4 years that the world has entered the most dangerous period in human existence. We have the Atlantean power. Whether the legend of Atlantis was true or not, we have the Atlantean power now to destroy ourselves many times over. That is an incontrovertible fact. And we have Communist China that is unbelievably oppressive and unbelievably murderous, arming North Korea with medium-range and long-range intercontinental ballistic missiles. And we have Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Laura Allen Hughes in 1995, 96, and 97 illegally transferring the technology to Communist China. Previously, China would have to come up off our shore and try to fire some type of primitive medium-range nuke at us, or try to get bombers flying over the North Pole to hit, say, New York City. Good luck doing that. But now they have it. And they've put their operatives in all the major tech companies, and they have got chips that are manufactured for the military that have kill switches in our latest military equipment. We have been completely sabotaged and overrun. And by the way, all that's admitted. What's crazy is that sounds wild. It's true. There have been scandals for 15 years. I remember seeing in the news hundreds of times where they find back doors in defense chips made in Communist China, or they get Communist Chinese technicians in even our firms and they add stuff in. Search engine that. Communist China put back doors on U.S. defense chips. Remember, they call me fake news because we've got such a memory and we're accurate. Of course, how would you not forget that? I mean, that's important. Or that Kim Jong-un's a third-generation dictator. So now, in the last month, he's had more missile tests, firing missiles just right off the coast of Japan, and then saying, I will annihilate you, I will nuke you, with someone that looks like a cartoon character of a little pot-bellied crazy man with everyone worshiping him, threatening to destroy South Korea, one of the most advanced high-tech countries in the world. 2 different planets. Millions starving every few years in North Korea. Total enslavement. Collapsing worse than Venezuela. And the answer is threaten to nuke us, threaten to attack us, and now China has moved into the South China Sea, taking over 90% of it. They are declaring that they have the waters all the way down to the Philippines. Think about that. And China is belligerently kicking Filipinos off their own islands that people have been on for thousands of years. They're not just building new ones. In fact, there's one good thing CNN did. We've played that graphic where the lady is standing on the big blue screen and it shows the official China map. It's over 90%, and it's hundreds of miles away from China in areas they've never even claimed, folks. Shooting way out in the South China Sea, the most busy area in the world, and now they're using North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, who never worked a day in his life, to declare that he will annihilate South Korea, annihilate Japan, annihilate anybody that gets in his way. And Nancy Pelosi is so arrogant. She doesn't even know who the president is in press conferences. And Maxine Waters, again, thinks that Russia invaded Korea. Doesn't know what North and South is. Has no idea what's even going on this planet. No connection to reality. She just says that Putin runs Trump. And now, don't forget, John McCain said 2 days ago that Rand Paul is an agent of Putin. Oh, and that's a correction. I saw the article. I played the clip yesterday. And I conflated 2 things, not intentionally, because it's the exact same rhetoric. McCain has a bunch of treaties he wants rammed through to have the U.S. totally invade Ukraine, go all the way into Crimea and kick Russia out with military force. And he wants more heavy weapons sent, anti-aircraft missiles, you name it. There's already a proxy war. So then he was up there about another treaty, and that's Montenegro, where he says Russia's attacked, which there's no evidence of that, just zero there. And is saying he wants U.S. forces there. That's in the Balkans, but also nearby. This is an encirclement of Russia, which is seriously warlike. And Russia's not threatening to nuke anybody. Russia's not grabbing the South China Sea. If Russia was grabbing the South China Sea, and by the way, they have some claim to it. There's some Russia that sticks out in that area, and Russia has some islands around there going back, and Russia goes all the way to Asia, folks, Far East Asia. But they're not claiming that. People ask Putin about, hey, would you want, areas of Alaska back that you sold for $50 million or whatever it was? He says, no, we got too much land to deal with now. Isn't Russia like 8 times the size of the U.S.? I'm going from memory. Russia's problem is it's so big. Now, let's pull back on that. Look at the size of that. The globalists want it. They're trying to use Islamicists on one side and then trendies on the other to bring it down. I don't lionize on some love affair with Russia. I have to know what's going on historically. I happen to know that our own stinking globalist government in 1917 financed the takedown of Moscow and the Bolshevik Revolution, and then the same leftist thing we see here today was done to them. You want to know where we're going? Look at what happened in Russia. Banning the family, slave labor, hate speech laws, everything you see now. Little commissars running around in black uniforms. So if Russia was suddenly declaring it wanted a bunch of islands out there because they border that area, I'd say, hey, watch out, Russia. That's open sea lanes for everybody. China's saying you can't come in most of the South China Sea now, and ships have to go through areas that are rocky shoals and sandbars. And so a lot of big ships are just ignoring them and having to be escorted by Japanese, U.S., and South Korean ships. That's really what's been going on the last year. And the communist Chinese will pull up, they'll board your boat, they'll steal the Navy's research vessels. Remember that? They're acting like North Korea. And because they're delusional. Hell, they're buying up Hollywood, they're controlling the U.S., they're putting spy chips in our equipment, they're doing whatever they want. And then Rex Tillerson comes out and says, listen, we don't want war, but you just can't keep calling for it. And you've got atomic weapons and missiles to deliver them. And if we see movements towards that, we're going to hit you first. And they've got the special forces on the border. They've got the bombers ready. They've got the cruise missiles ready to vaporize every major military emplacement. It's going to be, I'd say they're going to hit the North Korean line. Yeah, let me, from a military history, tell you how this will go if it kicks off. It can go 3 different ways, and they're each really drawn out, so let me just try to crystallize them as best I can. They start loading what appears to be an atomic payload. They've got sensors in space that can scan and tell them. They start loading a radioactive payload onto one of those missiles, and the phone call is going to go to President Trump, who's got the media and everybody attacking him constantly about, he wasn't spied on or all this made-up crap, or, he's not getting the economy going, all these other lies or whatever, or he didn't release his tax returns. While we're busy dealing with that, and our sellout globalist leftists that have sold us out to communist China and think they're going to defeat this country, Trump could get the call today, tomorrow, next month, whenever. Skip this break. This is too important. And they could say, Mr. President, we've got the scans. They're loading. If they're going to go nuclear, 6 missiles, 6 medium-range rockets with atomic payloads. They reportedly would have hydrogen bombs now. Maybe it's a hydrogen bomb. And the president makes the decision. They've already had the meetings, and all right, go ahead and launch. And then it'll be 5 minutes till the cruise missiles hit them. And it'll be about 15 minutes till secondary hydrogen bombs get dropped on them. And then they're going to hit the entire line between South and North Korea, where they've got those 100,000 artillery pieces and where they've got their troops. Because the word is North Korea's only got about 10 nukes. And so the entire front of North Korea is going to probably get hit with, depending on the size of the bombs or nuclear weapons they use, it could be hundreds of nuclear weapons will be used. Small nuclear weapons to wipe out the tunnels, the bases to neutralize them. And then if troops pour across, they're going to hit them with larger weapons. That's how it escalates. And then they'll start dropping the 500 megaton bombs on them that'll destroy the whole country. And so right now there's over 1,000 nuclear weapons just on a group of ships pointed at North Korea. Of course, you know where the rest are really pointed. Right now, most of the missiles aren't aimed at Russia. They've been swung around for years, and they're aimed right at China. That's the pivot. They're aimed right at China right now. Space-based weapons, you name it. And I'm not saying any secrets here. I've reverse engineered it, plus I have all the sources over the years. In 1979, they had over 100 drones continually orbiting the Earth with DU Sabo rounds, or basically meteor guns. Now, they're not atomic. They're not nuclear. They're not hydrogen bombs or atomic bombs. They are Sabos of a classified nature that go into orbit at 15,000 miles an hour with a rocket booster and accelerate to up to 40,000 miles an hour when they hit their target. You can be 10 miles under a mountain, you're dead. No holes deep enough. And again, you got to be under a mountain because that's cool. You go a mile under at sea level, it's 150 degrees. So you're under a mountain, you're not safe. Nobody's safe. And that was 1979. That's the superiority of the United States, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what they've got. And they've got advanced stuff up there. Huge weapons platforms. Japanese amateur astronomers are always showing them. They're just basically big floating bases. Not like those Tinker toys they put up at the International Space Station. They've got military bases that are basically big platforms with particle beams, light pebble, tiny pebble projectors that also basically shoot hundreds of thousands of BBs every few seconds out, because in space they don't slow down at missiles when they're coming up. So they got these BB guns up there. That's what they are. They're BB guns, basically. And they're just, I mean, imagine hundreds of BB guns aiming at the missiles that are going to come out of Russia, come out of China. And so they're going to take those out. They're going to fire cruise missiles in. And of course, here's the news flash. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, because I know history and I've studied it. If North Korea moves, China has already been given the call that if you move anything or anything looks like it's warming up on a pad, or any submarines pop up in the Pacific Ocean, in the Gulf of Mexico, or in the Atlantic Ocean, we're going to have total commitment at that point. Space-based weapons are going to kill your entire city center's population. Because they're not going to play games with China. They're going to kill everybody. So just understand that. China, the communist leaders made jokes about how, oh, we got too many people, go ahead and hit us. You're going to get hit like you want. Every military target, every city, every factory, you're going to have 10,000 weapons dropped on you. And by the way, it's going to be a nuclear winter. But, I mean, look, leftists want to worship China. They want to worship North Korea. They want to worship Venezuela. They want nuclear war. They're going to get it. Because here's why. We're not going to sit here while you launch missiles first and you catch us with your pants down because you're a bunch of crazy commies. Understand? Now, Curtis LeMay wanted to hit China and Russia a long time ago and got vetoed on it. And he had people like Bertrand Russell, the big liberals, calling for it, wanting a one-world government. Those plans got killed because they were immoral. We're dealing with people that are running around, taking over land, threatening to attack us, and saying they're going to nuke us, and China's behind it because they're a bunch of belligerent, crazy commies. Now, that's one way it can go. North Korea could basically, who's under Chinese control, could actually fold and announce a deal to work with the South, like East Germany did, to merge with it, and that horrible family dynasty can be removed, and those entire sickening groups of oppressive generals could all be told they can leave to Absentia, wherever they like, and take their stolen loot. So it doesn't have to be a nuclear war, just let them leave. And then send in international aid and stabilize the country of those poor victims. China can back off now, and China can recuse itself from what it's been doing and understand that you might be able to fight over the South China Sea. You're not going to get to start a nuclear war and not get hit first. So the United States is massively more advanced than China, and China needs to understand that traitors inside our government gave you nukes. And that shows how crazy this whole thing is. And I know that China's been testing anti-satellite weapons and particle beams and missiles, and they've already blown up some of our satellites. So I understand China's got some of its own weapons, and they got some smart people. It's just understand this, that China has no idea what's going to get rolled out against you, or how huge the secret space program is, and all the stuff that's been going on for a long time. So just look, the United States and Europe basically invented everything. And everybody over there needs to understand, globalists may have captured Europe. They may have made a deal with China to try to capture the United States. That deal's broken. That deal's over. Look at Kim Jong-un in that photo. The arrogance, the fake confidence. What is it about wimps that sit there and act like... And look at the brainwashed slaves behind him who think he's God. They literally think he's a rock star. It's like folks that think movie stars are cool just because they're in movies. If you love somebody's music, that's great. But you know, there's just this worship for no reason. Look at the cult-like crying like Democrats when they found out Hillary lost. Just look at how they worshiped Hillary, another slug. This is slavery. This is pathetic. This is mindlessness. You don't find any birds, any lizards, anything in North Korea. Everything's been eaten. This is the worship of the state. This is what we've become. Well, Merkel's finally showed up. The press conference is about to happen. Merkel goes to Washington, no handshake with Trump. They were in there covering it, getting ready for it this morning. I said, it said 12:20 Eastern. I guess that'd be 11:20, but then now it's, I don't know. Did that ever happen? Look at DrudgeReport.com. It's also up on Infowars.com. But let's get back to the really important news here. That's just the German traitor that opened him up to the whole UN plan to colonize Europe with Muslims. And now Turkey says, we're in a holy war. We have a group that will burn down everything inside your cities if you don't submit. And Merkel's literally saying, yes, submit to Turkey. See, she's allied with the Muslims, folks. What a pathetic scumbag. But right now, let's go ahead and go to the Secretary of State. Here he is.
In the face of North Korea's grave and escalating global threat, it is important for me to consult with our friends and chart a path that secures the peace. Let me be very clear. The policy of strategic patience has ended. We're exploring a new range of diplomatic, security, and economic measures. All options are on the table. North Korea must understand that the only path to a secure, economically prosperous future is to abandon its development of nuclear weapons, ballistic missiles, and other weapons of mass destruction.
Now, let's go a little bit further here, though. So we can have North Korea try to launch missiles or load them with weapons, and we have to hit them. They're saying, we're going to kill you, we're going to attack you, I'm going to load this gun and point it at you and kill you. You start loading the gun and pointing it at me, I have to strike back, right? Because you're striking me first. You've announced you're doing it. You've said you're coming to burn down my house. I see you pulling up with torches in your hand. You cross my threshold. Under common law, I can shoot you. Understand? So you've shown yourself to be monsters. You've done this. China, horrible communist monsters enslaving their people. It's a very, very sad situation. And now they want the South China Sea, and they want Africa, and they want everything else. The deals they made with the globalists are all being broken. That's one reason globalism is broken, because none of the parties involved followed it. Europe ignored the deals with Russia. We ignored those deals. The Chinese broke their deals with us. I mean, Russia really didn't break their deals until the last 5-6 years when the West started breaking deals they had with them. I'm not even, again, praising Russia. I don't have any stake in Russia, other than I don't have nuclear war with Russia. I'd like to visit Russia someday. I'd like to visit Africa. I haven't been to either place. I've been to Europe. It's awesome. Been to Central America. It's awesome. Been to Mexico. Been to Canada. I just, you know, I don't want to have a nuclear war. I mean, call me a Russian agent like McCain says. But the other thing is Korea and their dictator could decide to just transfer power, but they can't do it. They could step down, or China could get them in line and have them stop making the threats and doing all this. But it's coming to a head because China wants to use North Korea as a set piece to somehow bully us into submission, and it's not working with Donald Trump. Just like it's not working with Vladimir Putin, who they keep trying to bully into submission. Not happening. The globalists are trying to bully Russia into giving up its sovereignty. Not happening. United States, not happening. Because we have President Trump. Oh, here it is. A press conference ongoing. Trump doesn't shake hands with Merkel during photo op. They're getting ready to have their press conference. That's up on DrudgeReport.com and Infowars.com, as well as our backup site, PrisonPlanet.com. President Trump did not extend his hand to shake German Chancellor Merkel's Friday Oval Office photo op, a courtesy he usually extends to foreign leaders visiting the White House. Well, she is literally an Islamicist agent. So, I mean, he really shouldn't do that, right? We'll be back on the other side. We'll open up the phones, going to do a ton of other news I haven't hit yet, but this North Korea, South China Sea, China situation is the big issue.